welcome to Alley Chats. I'm Rob Southgate. I'm so excited. Today I have a new friend, which, believe it or not, this is the first time we're talking. It will not be the last. We've already talked for 20 minutes, and that was just saying hello. So I have a feeling we'll be talking on various shows in the future. But I've got Shawn Richison. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah.
Excellent, Shawn. So, Shawn, tell the audience, we've just walked up to your table here in Virtual Artist Alley. Tell people who you are, what you do.
Hey, my name's Shawn Richison, as you mentioned, and I am a cartoonist. I've done, mostly I do penciling, inking, that kind of thing, to other people's scripts. But sometimes I've on occasion written my own short stories. I've got a long form graphic novel that is kind of underway right now. So the current thing that I've got is with Russell Lissau, who is a friend of both of ours, obviously.
Yep, and you can hear him on the Alley Chats also, as well as, man, I think he was on Tour de Cons, and he's been on tons of my stuff. So, Russell's great, man.
Yeah, which is great. We're doing one called the HARDWAYS, which is sort of your action thriller, noir, crime, Vegas caper, grit your teeth, get into it kind of story, which I've been having a blast with. That drops on November 1st, 2020. So,
okay.
Yeah, you'll be able to find that on my online store. Russell's got it on his store. I think the Letterer's got it on his store. Josh Southall, he's got it. And we're going to have it eventually come out on Comixology as well. So it'll be all over the place. You'll begin hearing a lot about it coming up. But it's been a lot of fun. The one that I wrote previous to that and illustrated is on my Comixology under Wonder Realm Graphics. So that's Wonder, EALM. And that's on Comixology. It's called Legend of the Sunset People. And so what that is the myths and legends of the Anishinaabe. The Anishinaabe is the cultural word for Ojibwe or Chippewa, might be in the States. And but I'm up in northern Canada, so I'm up in Barrie, north of Toronto. So and I came from even further north in Canada, and a lot of the cultural myths and legends and that sort of thing are very prominent in the educational system, and just amongst like when you go to the library, there's a lot of that stuff available. So I got into that at a young age, and so I decided I was going to do like a graphic novel. I got about 180 page script that I've got 48 pages done. And so that chunk of it, that is out on Comixology as well. So that's a full color 48 page book, all about myths, legends. It's a kind of historical fantasy. So if you're into that kind of thing.
Yeah, you sold me. That sounds great, man.
I appreciate it. I like it. I mean, if when I was a kid, I grew up reading Roy Thomas and Alfredo Alcala's Rack Son of Thunder from DC Comics. So
sure.
He got erased, I think, back in Crisis a while back, back in the 80s. But prior to that, he was kind of this made-up tribal character that got abducted by Vikings and taken to Europe. And it was a whole, and so that was just right my jam, like Vikings and native myths and all this kind of thing. So this is my love letter to that kind of thing. But I wanted to keep it a bit more real. So that was kind of more taking the actual myths that I was hearing up in northern Ontario and Canada, and translating them into a narrative that I could tell as a comic book, because I'd never seen anything like that, and I think there's a lot of kids that are underserved for that sort of thing. So, and I've got a little bit of sci-fi out there, like Russell and I have done a couple of sci-fi stories that are on both on the website. So on my store, when you'll see the link to that, I guess you have it in the show notes there. There's one called Busted, which is a short story. It's about 10 pages long that I did with Russell. I've done a lot of stuff with him. And just in general, you find me online, you find me on Twitter, usually just putting out snippets of my artwork, with something I'm working on. I'll put that on Instagram. That's kind of what I do there.
Sure.
If I have prints and that kind of thing, or new books coming out, I'll talk about that on Twitter. But then otherwise, I'm just trying to be a bit of a wise ass and, make jokes and
success.
Yeah. 1 out of 10 times, maybe. I'm not, yeah.
Well, I didn't say they were funny.
Funny. Yeah. I mean,
right.
funny, but I'm there. I'm on Twitter.
I think that's why we're getting along. I speak your language.
There you go. So yeah, I mean, that's what I do.
Yeah, really cool. So, first of all, I do encourage everybody to check out the HARDWAYS. I know that I interviewed Russell. You probably heard it before you heard this interview, and I was fawning all over it. It is real. I am actually fawning all over it. I'm a big fan of crime comics. I was talking to Russell about how I'm reading Criminal right now. I'm on book 4 of Criminal, which is astounding.
Absolutely.
Love 100 Bullets, love Stray Bullets, like all these. Every time I get my hands on one, I'm like, oh man, these are just right there in my wheelhouse. That's why when I read this, I got to the end of the book and went, I'm so hooked. Like Russell got me.
Well, that's perfect.
I highly recommend people checking it out. And let's face it, like during COVID here, we don't have the cons. So you're not getting the exposure that you normally would. And if you're a comic fan, if you're listening to the show, I'm sure you are, you want to support these people. So check out their stuff and throw them a couple of bucks for a book and check it out. I guarantee you're going to read that book and get to the last one and be like, okay, subscribe. What is it? 5 issues?
It's 5 issues and it's a complete story. So you're not hanging on for like, okay, well, what if they don't come out with issue 10 or 12?
Yeah,
or
no,
it's
you're doing
issues.
them all.
We're doing them all. We're getting them done. It's a complete story. I'm halfway through the 2nd issue on the inks, and then we're off to the colorist with that, and then just trucking right along to the next thing. So like we hope to have it collected 2021, and be in the meantime as it comes out. Like comics do, serialized. You can pick them up as they come out. It's to be honest, I'm not going to say it's going to be a monthly schedule with COVID and everything going on. There's
right. I think people can give some allowances right now.
But it's indie comics too, right? So
yeah, right. Right. So you mentioned that you have a graphic novel you're working on.
Yeah. So
talk about that at all?
Sure. I mean, I wrote this, as I said, I was interested in these myths and these legends. And I thought, wouldn't it be, there's a story in the town that I was living in. The town's called Sioux-Lookout, which right there, there's in the name. And it's about the Ojibwe. The myth is, or the legend is, that the Ojibwe stopped at this town because it had a vantage point because they were being chased by the Sioux. So for like a year, they came from eastern Ontario, and they ended up traveling west and north. And they ended up, after a year, they just found this place where they could camp out and keep a lookout to see if their enemies were coming. And they did. And there was an event, a battle. And I thought, what happened on that year? They traveled for a year. They were attacked and they fled. Then they made a stand a year later, halfway across the country.
Yeah, what happened?
So I just thought, what? Like, what if they encountered all this supernatural and mythological stuff? And I mean, there's tons of these stories that are around.
You've already sold me, man.
Yeah. So I wrote this narrative, in with this all of these different myths that the characters in this tribe would run into and have to work their way through. They'd survive it, or they wouldn't, and then of course across that, it was fall when they left in my story. There's no real, it's obviously mythological, but in my story, they leave in the fall. They have to endure the winter. And then in the spring, they have their battle. So
yeah,
that's kind of where, the arc of this story goes. So
this is why you and I are going to end up talking about a lot of stuff on another show. First of all, I had a friend that was Native American, had great stories, especially supernatural stuff.
Wonderful.
And I have a project that I'm launching, which is all about UFO stories and ghost stories.
Ooh.
And you and I are going to have to talk.
Well, we will.
I will tell you one thing, not to make it about me, but I put a thing out on Facebook about it and just said, hey, I'm collecting these stories. First one that writes back is a comic book artist that I know. Uh-huh. And he says, I want to do this offline. I'm like, oh. He sent pictures. He had a story like I couldn't believe. And the whole time it was that, me, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going, Yeah, I do. Holy cow. So yeah.
Nice.
So we'll have to talk about that another time.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of UFO stuff,
I had a feeling.
the sci-fi, the ghost stories, haunted houses. Man, all that stuff's right in my wheelhouse. So
One of the interviews on here on Alley Chats, I had a woman who is a direct descendant of one of the Salem witches. And but she was like, not really a witch. It was a land dispute, but they called her a witch and drowned her. And you're
Right.
like, oh, well.
and that's so much of it, right? I mean, when when you look at it historically, but you can look at it historically and you can also blend in some of that supernatural
stuff. That's when it gets
and
really
that's where the fun is. Yeah, exactly. That's where I love it. So,
okay, I'm going to ask you a question. We're not going to have a lot of time on this one, so I want to get right to the meat.
Mm-hmm.
This is your dream con. I mean, there are no cons going on right now. So this is your dream convention.
Okay.
Who would you be most excited to meet?
Oh, geez. Well, I mean, living or dead or just living?
I said it's your dream con, man.
Man, I met Will Eisner in Toronto a few years ago, and that was amazing because he just had a wealth of information, knowledge, and just was just the sweetest guy. So having that checked off my list, I think John Buscema would be the guy. I grew up, I mean, as you can imagine, reading Conan the Barbarian, all the old Marvel, the Avengers, all in the 70s and 80s. That guy could draw.
Yeah.
He could draw. And just to sit and watch him do some sketching at a table and just chat with him and ask him some questions about, the craft and, pick his brain a little bit like that. That's a guy that I am sad I never got to meet before he passed. And that would be the one. But I have to say there are so many amazing artists out there. I think right now, if I could snap my fingers, COVID's over, and I could arrange to go to a convention. Right now, my dream con is just to get together and hang out with all the guys. Russell, I got friends in Italy that, Simone Guglielmini that I would love to, I haven't seen another buddy of mine, Dino Caruso. He's a great writer. We've worked together a bunch, and CJ Hurt is another guy. And just guys that I know that I don't get to see because we live in distant cities. But the time you do get to see each other is
it's the cons.
At the cons. And just to hang out again. I mean, I love Barrie. I love my house. I love my kids and my family, my wife. But I'll tell you, I don't get to see anyone professionally outside of, conventions really. So
hanging out with some other cartoonists and artists and writers over a crappy breakfast is the greatest thing ever, man. It really is.
It is.
Well, it's funny because with us, that's what this show stemmed out of, was us wanting to help people in Artist Alley, people that we know, because we haunt it. Mm-hmm. We're always at conventions, but we're being podcasters and content creators. We're on a different side, even though we're all over Artist Alley. So we have the same experience. We hang out with all of our friends in Artist Alley, and we're just missing them so badly. We have people that we see them a couple times a year when they come through. It always hits. They have these two women share a birthday with my daughter, and every year we bring cupcakes, and we all hang out and have cupcakes and celebrate our birthdays. And this year, not. It's tough. It's tough.
It is.
So, but that's why I keep doing this. I keep telling people, support these artists, support these writers, because they have to survive this time.
Yeah.
Do you do any type of commissions or anything?
I mean, I have been known to, but I don't have them open right now, just with this book in progress. And then, the other one, which Legend of the Sunset People, is kind of on the back burner right now because I, put my full attention into the HARDWAYS. With everything going on in my life, with like I said, the situation with, sometimes the kids are home more than I expect them to be, that kind of thing. What I've been trying to do is just put all my focus into getting these couple of things done. But I'll tell you, when I've got some of those deadlines met, and I know I feel a little bit more confident, I will announce it on Twitter or or my website as well.
Great.
You know, hey, I've got some commission slots open. Be happy to do a few, character shots or whatever, and I'll put up a price list at that time. And I'm usually pretty reasonable. You know, I don't peg myself amongst these top tier artists. I'm a kind of humble guy when it comes to that. I know I'm a bit of an unknown still. So even though I've been, grunting away in the trenches for a few years at this, there are people who are more in demand than I am. So you could probably get me cheap when that does open. So I'll be honest about that.
Hey, why do you think I had you on?
Yeah.
So, okay. When you do that, make sure that you send me a note and we'll promote it on our stuff and we'll, share it on our social media. That brings me also to this. We're going to put all these things in the show notes where you can buy Shawn's books, where you can follow him. Why don't you give a couple of social media places that you're active with? Give people a couple of places they can check you out, but we'll make sure we put it all in the show notes.
Absolutely. Well, you can always get me on Twitter. That's where I seem to be the most, sadly, I guess. That's but I like I follow a ton of different artists and writers and stuff. So it's where I keep my finger to the pulse of the industry. So I'll most likely be there. I'm at Shawn Richison there. I'm on Facebook. Then again, that's like a hit or miss for me because it's mostly just trying to connect with my mom, the grandparents for the kids and that sort of thing. It's kind of more of a family thing, but I do post, I post artwork and that kind of thing there. And you can always, I'll look at a friend request. And if it's someone who seems okay, I'll usually say yes.
Right.
Pretty good about that. And I'm on Instagram. I think it's same at Shawn Richison. I've got a Tumblr account, which I'll have to send you the link for because off the top.
Yeah, please do. Please do. My daughter is addicted to Tumblr. That's her jam. Perfect. So especially artists in that, when we hear about them, it's like, yep, she'll follow and share, and that's a good thing. So
that's fantastic. Well, what I do is I'll put up like my more finished stuff there. So if I do have like a pin up or a poster or something, I haven't put what I need to do is put up like some of the HARDWAYS covers and stuff up there right now because I haven't updated that recently. And then I have a website which is kind of more just a portfolio, shows some of my more recent pieces in terms of my sequential art, typically unlettered, just in black and white, where you can see what it looks like when I finish with it before it goes to like a colorist and that sort of thing. And that's just wonderrealm.com. So, and that links also to my store. Don't forget to go there. So
don't forget, support and buy the HARDWAYS.
And
all right, Shawn.
And that'll be up there on November 1st. So there you go.
Yes. And buy it. All right, Shawn, thank you so much for coming on. Like I said,
thank you.
We will reconnect. Give me a little time. I got a lot of editing to do to get through.
Absolutely.
But then we'll reconnect and I will have you on some other shows and we're going to talk about aliens and we're going to talk about ghosts and we're going to talk about Native American stuff. Cause I'm telling you, I got a couple of stories.
Oh man. I got to tell you, I listen to a lot of podcasts, obviously when I'm drawing and that. And I'm often yelling like at my phone or my computer and say, but no, I want to say that. I want to get involved, So like, I want to be part of the conversation. No, but this is how it works. This is the thing. So like, I will be all in on the conversation about all any of that stuff. So
awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks again so much, man. It was great to be here.
You can find Alley Chats on Facebook by searching for @Alley Chats. You can also visit us at our webpage, smgpods.com/alleychats, for links to all our episodes and other cool stuff. One easy way to support our show is to rate and review Alley Chats wherever you listen to your podcasts. Those ratings really help us out and help others find our show as well. Alley Chats is produced and edited by Rob Southgate for Southgate Media Group. Be sure to subscribe to Alley Chats because you definitely don't want to miss an episode. Thanks again to our affiliate sponsors, Hunt-A-Killer and Tweaked Audio. Links to them are on our webpage and in the show notes. This wouldn't be possible without them. Our theme song is by Benny and the No Goods. Check out their awesome music at bennyandthenogoods.bandcamp.com. If you're an artist or writer or creative type that would have a table at an artist alley and would like to be on Alley Chats, message us through the Facebook page or email us directly at southgatemediagroup@gmail.com and we'll set up an interview. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow with another fantastic show.